The confidence paradox: why AI is making technical artists faster but less confident. There is a specific kind of satisfaction in the grind. As technical artists, we've always lived in the space between the creative and the logical. We built tools from scratch, debugged Python script for hours, and manually weighted vertices until they moved just right. But lately, that process has changed. I felt it myself. Since adopting AI assisted workflows, the process feels less like iteration and more like curation. We use AI as a library and autofill, a shortcut, and while our output volume has skyrocketed, something else is dropping: our sense of technical agency. So, welcome to the confidence paradox, orchestration shift. We are moving from being functional authors, the people who write the code, to strategic orchestrators, the people who manage the machine. But what but at what cost to our skills, our motivation, and the very pipelines we built? Confidence paradox and artificial confidence. In a recent study by Fowler and colleagues, they identified a state where professionals experience a surge in thorough output, but a decline in their personal sense of efficacy. In the world of technical art, this manifests as artificial confidence. Think about it. You prompt an LLM for complex Python tool to automate a Maya pipeline. The code works. You feel like a wizard. But as Beach and Teeny point out, this exposure to AI generated content can paradoxically inflate your confidence while masking a catastrophic decline in your low level optimization skills. We are replacing iterative debugging and prompt engineering. When you write a shader by hand, you understand every math operation in that HLSL file. When AI generates it, you are just checking the homework of a black box. This creates a critical thinking trade-off. We are trading hands-on logic building for supervisory roles. Research from the et al. Suggests this leads to an atrophy of foundational judgment. If the AI makes a mistake, you don't fundamentally understand how can you ever truly fix it. The erosion of the pro. This leads us to a massive problem for studios: the hidden junk in the files. All makes it easy for everyone to create tools and 3D assets. On paper, that's democratization. In practice, it can create a mess of unoptimized, non-standard work that senior staff eventually have to clean up. I spoke with industry veterans about this. If new staff use AI for everything from scripting to rigging, how will they learn to handle the edge cases? The danger isn't that AI replaces the artist, it's that it replaces the learning process. If you never struggle with the rig, you never understand the anatomy of the pipeline. How can HR even tell who is actually a pro anymore? If someone looks fast because they're using AI but lacks the proactive behavior needed for high level problem solving, the studio is building on a foundation of sand where we are seeing a decline in very skills that define a professional technical artist. So, is the manual way of working dead? And not necessarily, but it is evolving. To survive the confidence paradox, we have to redefine our value. We aren't just tool builders anymore. We are strategic pipeline orchestrators. As Van de Kries suggests, the key is a co-creation model where the technical artist moves from being the one who writes every line of code to the one who designs the high level architecture. Instead of fighting the AI, we use it for rapid prototyping, like using LLMs for quick shader ideas or automated LOD generation. But we maintain our technical self efficacy by being the final authority on optimizing and integration. We have to change how we teach the next generation. We should just teach them how to code. We need to teach them how to audit code. We need to reward the directing of AI while still forcing ourselves to occasionally model and script by hand to keep our low level muscles from atrophying. Conclusion: the human driven framework. The fun of technical art has always been building the world. If we stop building and only check homework, we get bored. We lose our intrinsic motivation. To maintain human driven technical innovation, we need a framework, the 70-30 rule. Use AI for 70% of grunt work, but manually execute 30% that defines the project's unique technical soul. Mandatory auditing: never accept an AI generated artifact without a manual optimization pass. Skill sabbaticals: personally, periodically, skill sabbaticals periodically return to manual workflows to ensure your foundational logic remains sharp. AI is a powerful teammate, a cybernetic teammate, as Del Aqua calls it, but a team only works if the leader knows the game. We are architects of the future pipeline. Let's make sure we still know how to play the bricks. Lay the bricks. The following is an interview that was conducted by me. I was interviewing Richard Katz. He's a senior technical artist. And Richard and I had a couple of questions. I asked him a few questions. He answered them based on the knowledge that he has. And this is how it went.
First question from your original document: if the AI comes up with code or the 3D model, do you still feel like you truly own the work?
Yeah.
Um, so part of tech art has always been providing solutions and automating the boring stuff, so that artists can focus on creating art, and tech artists can move on to many other things on their backlog. So if the work gets done faster and saves some time, then it's definitely worth the sacrifice. But it could become demoralizing if all you're doing is code reviews for AI generated code.
Yeah.
Um, like, you know, I don't know if I get into this later, but one of the mantras of technical art is, make yourself obsolete. And AI helps with that for sure. And what that means is, you don't want to be a bottleneck for some workflow or someone else's work, not being able to progress. So being able to remove that yourself as an obstacle, as a bottleneck, automating a process for an artist lets them do the work faster, and it lets you move on to other things so that you don't have to continue to put yourself in that place. So if AI can assist in that process, then it's right in line with what technical artists should be doing. You know.
Okay.
See, the second question you had was if new staff use AI for scripting and rigging, 3D rigging, how will they learn things when AI make mistakes they don't understand? And my my story was stupid, but when I was in school, I was in school in the '90s, in college or university, and it was right during the transition from physical media to digital. And I took some graphic design courses with some real old school graphic designers who had us do everything the old way for the first few years. And I moved out of graphic design and went back to a fine art. But we were, we're cutting little things out with like X-Acto knives and red ruby lith. I don't even know. It's like it was like for the printing process. Like they're putting letters on like a page and laying it out with physical little cutouts and stuff. And within like I don't know, within 5 years, it was definitely all digital. Like nobody even touched that stuff anymore. So. And we were using like T squares and protractors and stuff. But I think having an exposure to the old ways helps newer professionals make the connection when applying modern techniques to, to what some of the legacy is of that technique and why certain things are a certain way. I think of younger people, maybe like yourself, you see the little save icon on like a Windows application. It's a picture of a floppy disk, but
Yeah.
young people may never have seen a physical floppy disk,
Yeah.
So, when you show them a picture, like my kids, you show them a picture or show them a physical floppy disk, and they're like, "Hey, it's a save icon." Like, being able to make that connection to why is something in a certain way. I've also worked on games that have a huge legacy, amount of like legacy and back. What do you call it? Like just old code that people have to like go into and or like old assets. World of Warcraft, I was working on that in the 2010s, and we had to touch assets that were created 15 years earlier and why things were made a certain way. Well, it's hard to ask AI. They won't know that. Only the people who made them might know that. Let's see. The second question or third question was, since the job is moving from writing code and sculpting to managing AI, do we need to change how we teach the next generation? So my answer for that was AI only seems like it mashes together existing work after it's trained on work that's created by actual humans. So humans still possess the spark of creativity needed for current AI to ingest. Otherwise, it will stagnate and just become an endless loop of regurgitating its own stolen, ideas.
Okay.
How can an HR tell if someone is actually a pro or if they just look fast because they used AI to generate their code? And HR, can't really tell anything. They just make sure you're like a real person and you check some of the boxes, like you're in the right country, you're in the the right area. You've
Yeah, I have another question. Just
sure.
sorry to interrupt. Just a question that I have is, if you are one of the leading artists that is going to assess an upcoming junior artist, and you're providing them a test, you're running them through a test, and if they say that I use AI, what will be your reaction to that?
Um, Well, see if they can explain why, how the AI came to that conclusion, or how, why are things, see if they could explain the whys and hows of the solution rather than just taking um, taking credit for, or like just leaning too much on it to do their work for them. It's like um, the bully at high school who beats up the smart kid to do their homework for them. But they it doesn't really help them in the long run if they can't explain how something is done or why something was done a certain way.
So that concludes the interview. It's not the entire interview. The entire interview is about 33 minutes. So it's just summarized down to the important questions. And Richard was kind enough to spare some time in his busy schedule. So that would be it. And that would be all for the video essay. Thanks. And I am Akshay Dilip Kumar. Thanks for watching.